topic tonight is immigration. Brett, you are just certainly an expert in this area. So much to cover tonight, and we talked a little bit about just the situation with Social Security, bank accounts, driver's licenses. I know you asked about benefits, but those types of official documents, those are at this point challenging as well.
Well, they're challenging. A driver's license is something one can get under limited circumstances depending on their immigration status.
Okay.
Now, you can be an undocumented immigrant, but have certain limited situations where you can get, as we talked about before, a work authorization, a Social Security card, and depending on which type of benefit that you have, the Alabama Department of Public Safety will let you sit for a driver's license exam. Bank accounts, depends on the bank.
Okay.
I'm not going to say which are the immigrant-friendly banks or which are the ones that are not. However, through the years of dealing with families, some families which are undocumented, some families which are what you might call, a house divided or a house united. You may have one family member, mom or dad, is a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident.
Okay.
Dad or mom is not. Bank may work with them easier than they would work with someone who is undocumented. However, I've known banks that as long as you come to them in good faith, let them know what you want to do.
Okay.
I mean, a bank is not there to be the U.S. government. The bank is there to manage someone's money. You'd certainly be better off with your money in the bank than your money in a mattress that, you could fall victim to robbery. But getting a bank account depends on the bank, but it's not something that's prohibited.
Okay.
Just like owning property is not prohibited. Just like having a business is not prohibited.
Yes, it's good to know.
Brett, I know that there are a million different situations that you see, but if somebody's out there watching tonight and is making a decision, I want to try to start the process tomorrow morning. How do they start the process?
The process is, it's a word as big as the universe, because there is really no the process. Each person has their own individual situation. Unfortunately, our immigration laws are not set up to where someone undocumented in this country can necessarily start the process. I hear so often people who come to me that have undocumented employees. I just wish we could help him. I wish we could help her. And I say, there are people, elected officials, that you need to let know that. Let them know that there are Alabamians who have strong opinions about their particular immigrant, because there are 100, there are 1,000, there are tens of thousands of people that also have their really necessary immigrant. And they may not be able to start a process, but if it becomes known that, this is a concern, like good jobs, like health care, like national security, if they go to their representative and tell them, hey, look, what can we do? Well, right now, the I word is a 4-letter word. Immigration, nobody wants to touch it. Congress doesn't want to play with each other. They don't want to work to help the people who are here. You look back into the 1980s, was the last time there was any significant immigration reform, and that came from someone you wouldn't expect, a conservative Republican who grew up in California and who saw good people that were not Americans that he didn't want taken advantage of, and that was Ronald Reagan. He had an immigration reform that 3 million people were able to take advantage of. We haven't come close to that since.
Wow.
And that was not a long, you were saying earlier, that wasn't a long process. It didn't last for years upon years. It was a short amount of time.
Yes. This, what they would call the immigration reform, or nobody wanted to use the word amnesty, but it was known as the Reagan amnesty. It gave people who could document their presence in the United States prior to 1982, could show that they passed very, very strict background checks, and could also go through other vetting processes. There was a window open for a year for them to be able to fill out the application, pay. I mean, it cost money to do that. And within that time, they were able to get lawful permanent resident status. And if they maintained that, they could eventually naturalize and become U.S. citizens. I personally have friends, I have former employees whose parents got their citizenship through the amnesty, and they were born in the United States as a result of their parents having that status. But the process, Kirby, is such, there are so many types of processes. To do it the right way is nigh on impossible for someone who is here presently. Someone who's in another country trying to get here, there's so many limits on the number of people that can get here that we can't fill jobs. So we need to talk about it, and it needs to become not some hot potato that nobody wants to touch, because there are so many good people here in the United States that would bend over backwards. They would literally give hands, arms, and legs to be able to become an American. I mean, the American dream is not dead. It's just, you're not allowed to sleep long enough to really dream it anymore.
Yeah.